Hi, I'm Tom and welcome to the channel. I'm back with the August Walk in the Wild side, and apologies for last month. I ended up with a lot of wasted video, sadly. Today will be a little bit different. We take a walk along the east coast of Scotland from Dunbar to Belhaven Bay. It's a very scenic section of coast with lots of history and activity along the way. I follow the same format as previous, with photos appearing at appropriate places during the video. It'll give you a feel of what's possible if you ever plan a visit here. Dunbar Harbour has a lot of history, and the old harbour was built by the Cromwell protectorate in 1655, and the castle's been around in one form or another since the Iron Age. But sadly it was totally destroyed by an Act of Parliament in 1657. The route we follow down the coast is called the John Muir Way, after one of Dunbar's most famous sons. He emigrated to the USA and he's well known there for his work in establishing the national parks. He's still remembered in his native Scotland for the work he did here early on, and also there's a museum dedicated to Mount Dunbar itself, which is well worth a visit if you ever come here. We start out with views around the harbour. Here we can see down the coast towards North Berwick. You can see the Law in the distance, a classic shape of a volcano. There are volcanic plugs and hills like this in the area, but not all this shape. As we walk from the old gun battery down to the harbour, you'll see views of Dunbar and the Victorian Harbour. The old Cromwell Harbour is linked to this one, as the original mouth of that harbour is blocked. At the mouth of the harbour, with another view down the coast, here's a good place for sea fishing, and also where scuba divers can enter the water. You can see there's scant remains of the castle, and it's now a haven for kittiwakes. As you can see, there's little left, but it must have been impressive back in the day. We still have a small fishing fleet that operates out of here, and a lot of leisure craft take safe haven in the harbour here. Walking up out of the harbour, you'll see many sites typical of these fishing towns in the UK. And as we take a view back towards the harbour, we can see the harbour mouth from the other view and along to the old gun battery where we started out. In the distance you can just see the old entrance to the Cromwell Harbour, which is now blocked. The next stage of the walk takes us into the bay that used to be the location of the old outdoor swimming pool. Sadly, it's all gone now, a victim of cheap holiday flights to Spain. It's hard to believe it ever existed. As we leave this bay, we continue with a good workout. There's lots of steps in this section to keep you fit. We pass through a tunnel and enter the next bay, and this section is popular with wild swimmers today. The tide's out today, but when it's in, there's lots of rock pools where people swim in the sea. Onwards and upwards we leave the town behind us, and the path becomes more level. It's getting quite blustery and the little boats are heading back to harbour. In this section, the rocks offshore provide an ideal fishing platform for cormorants. and there's quite a colony here. Looking further down the coast, we start to see the first sight of another popular pastime in this area, and that is links golf. The section of coast between Dunbar and North Berwick hosts many famous courses, and it regularly hosts the Open. The coast here has a gradual drop-off into the sea, and you can see where the cargo ships and tankers are waiting offshore. Despite the imposing clubhouse, which can be seen for miles, this isn't one of the top golf courses. Anyone can play here, but it does provide a classic view of links golf in East Lothian. You can still see the remnants of old coastal defences put here to impede any enemy landings during the Second World War. Mostly removed now, but some are left and reused to prevent erosion of the golf courses. Now as we approach our destination and the aptly named Bridge to Nowhere at Belhaven Bay. The bridge was built to aid crossing of a deep river channel which enters the bay at this point. And here's a view of the tide out. At high tide it lets surfers cross safely to get to the main surf beach. Yes, we surf in Scotland. This is a very popular spot for surfers and paddleboarders. The village also has a classic seaside feel. This building used to house the mooning cult in Scotland back in the 70s. Here's a classic shot of the Bridge to Nowhere, which gives you an idea of how it got its name. The area is popular year-round and these shots were taken in the winter. Some brave hardy people still come here to dream of Hawaii and the big surf. We continue today's walk over this stile and to the quieter inland waters where paddleboarders can practice safely. It's a popular destination for many school outings, and the water is only waist high in this protected area. When the tide is out, it's also popular with wading birds like curlews and redshanks. Just a few steps from the coast, we come to a small freshwater lake, which presents more photo opportunities. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Walking the Wild Side. The new gimbal helped tremendously, but it still took a while to pull together. I would like to dedicate this episode to Mobolaj Popula, who donated to the channel recently, and it helped me purchase this voice recorder I'm using instead of my iPhone. So I should ruin fewer soundtracks because I won't be getting notifications in the middle of them. Thanks again, Mobolaj. And apologies if I pronounce your name wrongly. It'll be on the screen here anyway. At this point you'll be seeing two videos. Here's the last walk in the wild side in case you missed it. And here's what Google thinks you might want to watch next. And I hope to see you all in the next video.